Hi guys, welcome to the recap show. Today's movie recap will cover a 2022 horror mystery movie named Smile. Sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy. The movie begins with a dead woman lying on her bed. She is soon discovered by her young daughter, Rose. The scene shifts to several years later. Rose is now a doctor who works at a psychiatric facility. Rose is summoned to attend one of her patients, Carl. She sits down with Carl and has a conversation with him. After assessing him thoroughly, Rose lets him go. Minutes later, Rose is about to leave the office for the day when she is called back because a young woman, Laura, was rushed to the facility. One of the orderlies informs Rose that Laura witnessed her college professor kill himself some days back by crushing his head with a hammer. Rose enters the evaluation room and tries to calm Laura, who is acting crazy. Laura tells Rose that she isn't going crazy, but something unnatural is happening to her. Laura explains that she is seeing an entity that wears other people's faces. Laura laments that she is the only one that can see it, and the entity tells her that she will soon die. Laura says anytime the entity always has an evil smile on its face. Rose tries to reason with Laura that she might be suffering from post-traumatic stress. Just then, Laura looks away from Rose. She looks back at Rose and starts screaming. Rose immediately runs to the phone and calls for assistance. Rose looks backwards and finds Laura standing and smiling at her. Laura holds a shard of the flower vase. She then cuts her neck open with the shard and dies smiling. Soon afterward, Rose is interviewed by two police detectives, one of which is her ex-boyfriend, Joel. After telling the detectives everything that happened, Rose leaves work for the day. Upon getting home, Rose takes a shower and tries to stay calm. While taking a drink, she sees Laura standing in the corner. Suddenly, she hears her fiancé, Trevor, call her name. Trevor asks Rose what happened, and Rose merely shrugs it off as a minor issue with her patient. The duo then prepares for the dinner they have planned with Rose's sister, Holly. At dinner, Rose looks carried away that she doesn't hear anything Holly is talking about. She returns home and feeds her cat before going to sleep. The next day, Rose tells an orderly to send her all the file reports on Laura. Rose looks back and sees Joel behind her. Joel says he is there to check on her, but Rose isn't ready to have a discussion with him and leaves. While she is busy looking at the report, Rose gets a call from Holly. Holly apologizes for lashing out at Rose. Soon afterward, Rose enters Carl's room and he starts screaming at her. Carl tells Rose that she's going to die, and he starts walking toward her aggressively. Rose immediately called for the orderly to restrain Carl, but soon realizes that Carl has been sleeping the whole time. Due to this event, Laura's supervisor, Dr. Morgan Desai, gives Rose a paid week off. Morgan suggests that Rose uses the time to clear her head and get well from any mental stress she is going through. On her way home, Rose stops at a toy shop to buy her nephew a birthday present. While wrapping the present, Rose gets a text from Trevor, informing her that he will be back late because of work. Soon afterward, Rose is taking a drink when the security alarm goes off. She checks if the doors are closed and disables the alarm. Just then, she receives a call from the security company. After asking Rose some questions, the operator suddenly asks Rose if she hasn't let something into her house. Rose gets scared when the operator tells her to look behind her. She's about to do so when the phone rings, and Rose realizes that the first phone call was her mind playing games with her. Soon afterwards, two police officers are sent to check out Rose's house. After seeing that everything is good, the officers leave. Trevor arrives home and asks Rose what happened, but Rose tells him not to worry about it. Rose starts looking for her cat so she can feed it, but couldn't find it. Rose wakes up in the middle of the night and listens to the audio recording with her patient. Just then, Laura appears beside her, and Rose screams out in fear. She picks up a knife, but Trevor arrives and lets Rose know that she is not in any danger. The next morning, Rose pays a visit to her therapist, Madeline. She tells Madeline that she's been seeing things and hearing things. She tries to get sleeping pills from Madeline, but Madeline says she needs to observe till the following week. Later that afternoon, Rose goes over to Holly's house for her nephew's birthday. While opening birthday presents, Rose's wrapped toy train gift has somehow been replaced by her dead cat, which disappeared the night before. Everybody starts looking at Rose in a weird manner, but Rose tells them that she is not insane. Just then, Rose sees Laura sitting in a chair and smiling at her, but no other person can see her. Laura charges at her, and she falls into a glass table, causing her to injure herself. That night, Rose tries to tell Trevor that something supernatural is haunting her, but Trevor doesn't believe her and just walks away. Rose then does a little research and is able to find out the home address of Laura's professor who killed himself. The next day, Laura pays a visit to his widow, Victoria. Victoria tells Rose that her husband started acting weird when he witnessed a woman terminate herself. Rose tries to tell Victoria that everything her husband saw was real, but Victoria gets angry and chases her out. Rose then goes over to Joel's house. Rose begs Joel to help her find out about Laura and the professor. Going through police records, the duo find a chain of cases where someone suffered apparently supernatural hauntings before killing themselves, smiling, and passing the hauntings on to a witness. Rose then prints some of the case pictures and leaves Joel's house. She rushes home so she can show Trevor everything going on. Rose gets home to find Trevor and Madeline waiting for her. Rose gets angry at Trevor. Madeline and Trevor try to calm her, but she angrily leaves. Rose then pays a visit to Holly. She shows Holly the pictures to prove that she is not crazy, but has been cursed. However, Holly doesn't believe her and tells her to get help. Holly says Rose is starting to behave like their mother. That night, Rose receives a call from Joel. He tells Rose that he found a connection leading to 20 cases, of which 19 of the victims died, except an accountant named Tally. Joel says Tally is in prison for terminating his neighbor in front of his wife. On their way to the correctional facility, Joel tells Rose that all the entity's victims died within a week of being cursed. Getting to the prison, Rose begs Tally to tell her how he survived. Tally explains that the only way to break the chain is to kill someone else in front of a witness in a brutal enough fashion to cause major trauma, which the entity feeds off of. Rose gets home, and while going through the case reports, she sees Madeline outside her home. Madeline says she is there to make sure she is not a danger to herself or anyone else. As the session goes on, Rose realizes that the entity has taken on the form of Madeline. She attacks Rose and tells her that it's almost time for her to die. Soon afterward, Rose drives to her workplace and enters Carl's room. Carl yells at her, and this attracts the presence of Morgan. Rose then punctures Carl several times with a knife, but he begins to laugh mockingly before Morgan rips off his face, and Rose wakes up back in her car. Just then, Morgan approaches Rose's car to have a chat with her. Morgan spots the knife in Rose's car and alerts the authorities. Rose realizes that she needs to be alone so that she'll be able to deprive the entity of the trauma it needs. Rose drives to her abandoned family home, which is located in a secluded area. Joel calls her and tries to know where she is, but she hangs up. Rose enters the house and discovers that the electricity is out. As she walks towards her mother's room, it is revealed that Rose had actually found her mother shortly after overdosing, but refused to call for help. Rose closes the blinds, locks the doors, and finds an old kerosene lantern, which she uses as a source of light. Later on, Rose enters her mother's room and finds her sitting on the bed. She asks why she didn't call for help, and Rose says she was afraid of her because her mother always treated her badly. Shortly afterward, Rose confronts the entity, who is now morphed into a tall, deformed version of Rose's mother. She sets the entity on fire with the kerosene lantern, seemingly killing it and ending the curse as the house burns down around them. Rose drives over to Joel's apartment and tells him everything. Joel comforts him, but Rose soon realizes that the entity has taken Joel's form also. As she runs away, Rose discovers that she is still at her family's house. Just then, the real Joel arrives, thus revealing everything that happened from the moment she entered the house was a hallucination. Out of fear, Rose runs back into the house and locks the door. The entity appears as Rose's mother and rips off its own face, revealing its true form. It pulls open Rose's mouth and forces itself inside of her. Joel breaks down the door and sees a smiling Rose, who has doused herself with kerosene. Joel watches as Rose sets herself on fire, thus passing the curse on to him. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to receive future recaps.